Hey family, welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Mother Knows Best on Spotify. It's your girl, Miss B. Jones, and tonight I wanted to talk about how to prepare yourself for the love that you deserve. The first recording, it disappeared, so we're gonna try this again. I want to thank everyone from all around the world that has taken a moment to listen to the podcast and found it to be beneficial. I am the type of person that when I record or make content, this is my real life, so it has to feel organic to me. I'm not going to just pump out a lot of content. It has to be something I feel can provide real value to you all. And the subject of love and intimate and romantic relationships is life-changing. Who you settle down with and the commitments is one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your life. And I know you will hear lots of advisors online telling you all of these unique things that you should go into motion to change about yourselves to attract in your mate. But the reality is, you are only needing to work on you. And you working on yourself and doing the work will attract the people on your level. And when I say doing the work, that means you had your blinders on. That means you are locked in on your goals. And you deserve someone with that same energy. Not someone that's not willing to try to work on themselves after you've shown yourself capable and committed to your own self-development. I think the bigger issue is the fact that personal growth isn't spoken about enough. It's more of a superficial conversation when we talk about romance and intimate relationships, when in the reality it's two souls meeting. And you have to make sure that you're on the same page with the person. That person has to be wanting to be going through the process of healing. Because I don't think any of us is completely healed. That's a journey. That's a process. And that person has to be willing to go on that journey of healing with you and be in support of you being a healed version of yourself, while still accepting the version that they have right in front of them, without seeking to change you. Because ultimately you should be able to assess yourself and see what changes need to be made and be actively seeking the support and assistance to go into motion to change those things. I think ultimately there's a time and place for everything, and we also have to know when the time even is for love. Because if a lot of us and all of us have had some kind of traumatic event that we may or may not completely be able to recall, that has affected our psyche in some kind of way, sometimes from a very young age, there's always some things that we need to smooth out. That's a part of our being. And to allow that to go unnoticed, unchecked, unmonitored, and unhealed is negligent of yourself. And what I want more than anything to leave you with is that love and romance, all of these things are rewards for healing. And I feel like they're rewards for healing because when your cup is full, it's because you've patched any potential cracks and holes. But if you haven't done the work to fill any potential cracks, holes, gaps, and damages to your cup, when you do receive that love, you're not going to feel the full benefit of it. And it's highly likely you won't be able to keep it. I think doing the work justifies you to be able to have a long-lasting experience. And this will keep you away from these fleeting relationships that don't last past maybe 3, 4 to 6 months and stop you from wasting your time. I think that we all know what the things are. It's just about making a list and sticking to checking the things off of the list as frequently as possible and as comfortable as we're willing to go, and be honest with ourselves. I just want y'all to know that I'm learning just like y'all are learning. And I appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen. Because sometimes it can be really easy to get distracted by the noise of life, to begin to start feeling helpless or hopeless about your situation, to feel alone or to be lonely. Not everyone is happily single, and not everyone is happily married. So looking next to you at the person across or beside you or behind you and making comparisons is degenerative. And the reason why it's so degenerative is because you don't know anyone else's unique traumas, if they're doing the work to fix them, and if the partner they have is in support of their healing or the unhealed version of themselves. These things you can never know. So it's always best to go within and look to see where the healing needs to be inevitably. I don't know that I've told you all, but I've worked in mental and behavioral health for about 10 years now. And one of the bigger things that I've been left with in the field, and at times I've even questioned if this was my purpose to continue to work in the field, but I've been left with the idea that we are whole beings. We don't need to be fixed. We simply need to learn how to pivot and have the natural supports to learn how to cope with stressors. Because stressors are all throughout our life, from our family dynamic to our psyche, to the way that we speak to ourselves internally, to the way that we express our emotions externally, the way we see the world, our worldview. All of the potential outside factors can all be determined as stress. It's how we choose in the moment to reflect that out and the attitude we choose to have in response to the stress. That is the most important thing. And I always tasked myself as a healthcare or mental health professional to make sure that I gave myself and my clients that I serve full autonomy over their lives. I believe that a person is living with a diagnosis or a disability. I don't believe anyone is disabled. I think we have to be so careful to understand and conceive that we come here whole in spirit, mind, and body. And what happens on the outside of us affects us internally, and that reflects out. And this dis-ease that we experience always comes from outside sources that we've allowed inside. So this speaks volumes to how important it is to protect your peace at all costs, even if that means creating some distance from people that we might normally love to be around. Peace is something that once you've received it and you've learned what your rhythm is and how to maintain it, you protect it. Not everyone is worthy of your energy. And not everyone you meet and have attraction to is your person. A lot of times I'm learning that in relationships, when we see really clear red flags, we turn them into green flags because we want to convince ourselves that we are amazing enough to change a person. But the reality is, if we feel that the person is truly in need of changing, in order to be a conducive partner, then you're not the partner for that person. There very well may be someone on their level to receive them. And it is okay to release people with love. You can simply say that it's been a pleasure getting to know you. To know that you exist in this world is a blessing. And I appreciate the time that we shared. But I see that we're at an impasse. And I would never want you to change who you are for me. But I need to receive more than what I see that you can give. And you can leave it at that with no hard feelings. And sometimes if you're in an unsafe situation, sometimes you may have that conversation over the phone or via text. Or you may imply that when you're in a safe situation. But it is completely fine to release people with love. You do not have to be in a full long-term commitment with every single person that you meet or date. You know in your heart if the person makes you feel loved and adored and valued. And I want you to know that here at Mother Knows Best podcast, you are safe, loved, and secure. I just think that more than anything, I want you to know that the love that you give to others, you can turn that around and give that to yourself as well, because you deserve it. And the butterflies and the happiness and joy you feel from the acceptance of another person, you can feel that same energy from the acceptance of yourself and the growth that you have done. And if you're not quite ready for a romantic relationship to begin, you have full autonomy to say that you're not ready for that. And the person should quite openly accept your position and be okay with being your friend if they truly have good intentions for you. And ultimately, I'm learning more than anything that it feels good to feel rooted and seated in who I am, and to do things that I once thought I would never be able to do because I was holding myself back, not wanting to be too busy or too unavailable. But the reality is that the person for you will accept you and everything that you're doing in that time of your life and just want to be a part of the air that you're breathing. Want to be a part of that light and be in support of you being who you are, because who you are is amazing to them. They won't do anything to make you feel less than. You deserve the world. And the reality is I'm talking to people that have done the work and are doing the work. You deserve the love that you give. And you don't have to settle. Continue to be the best you. Make a list and check it twice of the things you like to attain, the things you would like to experience and become as a person, and be vigilant about checking those things off on that list. So that way, when you do meet the person that is willing to rise to the occasion of whatever your situation might be, including the outliers that we seem to always have to mention in these conversations, such as single parenthood, age, education, financial status, level of poverty, all of these outliers, when the reality is that people are loving any and everybody. And the reason I know that people are loving any and everybody is because people are having children with any and everybody, and then later coming to report back that they weren't so happy. So the reality is that people are not upholding the standards that they know they should be. And you have an opportunity, knowing what you know now from your past, learning from your trauma, not to settle, to release people with love, to be open and open your heart to new experiences so that you can continue to grow and develop into the person that you truly are without the influence of someone else telling you that you're less than. The reality is you're a whole person. And when you sit in that and you're comfortable with being alone, you may look up and find you no longer have to be alone. You can be alone and not lonely. You can actually be happy when you see where the value is in your own time and company. Thanks so much for listening, you all. Have a beautiful and blessed night and a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and I'll be back soon with episode 3. Peace and blessings. Good night, family.